Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Thursday's Market SITREP here at TGO, or Top Gun Options. I'm Wiz, Matthew Buckley, and we didn't do an analyzer trade session today because I had eye doctor appointment down there in beautiful Miami. So we're going to be doing analyzer trade tomorrow at 1. Very interesting day today. I mean, we have a lot going on. Today, the Justice Department fired another broadside against some Chinese folks, claiming they're hacking and they're intelligence officers. This is not going to be good. You know, we arrested, or we didn't, the Department of Justice asked Canadian authorities to arrest the Huawei CFO, and that ended up into a big kerfluffle. They fired back by arresting a former Canadian diplomat. Peter Navarro, one of our lead trade negotiators, said, that takes care of that. Now here comes the deep state again as a big FU to Donald Trump with arresting more of these folks. So what do you think China is going to do, folks? You think, especially after President Xi Jinping's defiant speech earlier in the week that nobody's going to dictate reforms to China, after the DOJ arrests even more Chinese? I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a U.S. CEO that does business in China, don't go to China. You might get arrested. So this trade war is going to get worse, folks. I've recommended bearish double verticals on FXI, the iShares China ETF, man, and that thing has absolutely, as we predicted, imploded. A little bit of pop on Buenos Aires. Yay! Boo. This thing is going, there is no bottom in sight for FXI. There is no good news on the horizon with any of these China negotiations. As a matter of fact, it's going to get worse. So I'd look at an at-the-money bear call spread here on FXI. Just call it out 2 weeks. Just go out to the end of the year, bearish on FXI. This thing ain't turning around anytime soon at all. Obviously, and in the past hour or so, thank God this guy's grown a spine. Last Tuesday, when I was giving a speech up in Dallas, I watched with laughter that the president was yelling at Chuck Schumer that if you don't give me $5 billion in border wall funding, I'm shutting the government down. And Chuck said, no, we're Democrats. We're against any sort of security, right? Except we live behind big limousine liberal walls with armed guards, but that's a different story. So the president is now realizing that if he does not do this, he'll lose me. He caved last year, and last year he said he would never cave again. And then a couple days ago, it looked like he was caving. So this isn't looking so hot. So we might have a government shutdown over the holidays here, which would be fine with me. Do it, Mr. President. Get some backbone. If any, call this out, man. If I were you, I'd say, you know what? I want $5 billion for the wall, and when Democrats say no. I want to demolish the wall. Let's just get rid of all of our walls. Or actually, no, let's not. Let's put a big wall around, up in like New Mexico or Arizona, or up to Nevada, and just wall off California. And all the illegal immigrants, let's just funnel them into California. And then California, give us a call in a year and let us know how it goes. But it's a ridiculous, well, at least we know that one party cares about the security of this country and the other cares about voters. So we got to talk about the Fed yesterday, folks. I predicted it could be a sell on the news, and it was. The Fed, more or less yesterday, as the Catholic, I've said Ben Bernanke and Janet Yellen were kind of like the popes telling Catholics that hell doesn't exist. Well, guess what? Jerome Powell came out yesterday and said hell does exist, folks. Not only did he, they raised interest rates, the dot plot said there was about 2 next year. The market, or some market participants, thought what? They weren't going to even raise yesterday, let alone at all next year, and completely caught the market off guard. So thank God we had, in Tuesday's live trade brief, what did I tell you, man? I said get long SDS. I said get long the Pro Shares Ultra Short. When was that? Tuesday, right around here. I said get long SDS, and what are we looking at? That since I said to get long SDS shares 2 days ago, the SDS is up 10%. Look at the volatility index, folks. I told you we're not going to see a bottom until we see a massive spike in volatility and institutional selling. Guess what? That's a pretty good spike in volatility. We busted 30. Last time we saw 30 was when? Back here in February. Remember when all the short vol sellers got wiped out? So folks, the VIX has more room to go to the upside. If you haven't gotten long VXX or VIX calls and you haven't gotten long SDS calls, you haven't listened to me. I've said we're in a bearish market. We will not see a bottom. I said we're going to break through the February. Everything I've said with this market is happening. This is not the bottom, folks. I'm predicting it right now, especially or not right now. I told you when I said we're not going to hold these October lows, I said we're not going to hold February. We're going lower. So we're going lower and lower and lower, especially as the NASDAQ enters a bear market. David Tepper, very, very smart guy, hedge fund billionaire. What did he say? Powell, he said, move to cash. Powell just told you the Fed put is dead. So under Barack Hussein Obama, the Fed chief, Ben Bernanke, kept interest rates near zero and pumped $85 billion a month into this market. And Janet Yellen kind of kept that. Now, Jerome Powell is raising interest rates and unwinding that $5 trillion balance sheet. The president was absolutely right to call this man crazy. Jerome Powell, and it's interesting, folks, because Jerome Powell's doing what's right, but it's wrong, so we needed a Jerome Powell Fed chief at the height of the financial crisis to go, hey, man, businesses need to be able to fail. Banks need to be able to fail. Depositors in those banks need to know that, guess what? Your money really wasn't secure. This is dangerous, folks. So we needed a Jerome Powell 10, 15 years ago. Now he's the wrong dude at the wrong time. So I briefed the other day with FedEx slowing down and offering early buyouts and saying European businesses slowing down, Asian businesses slowing down. This is the canary in the coal mine, folks. And why do I say this isn't the bottom for all of you that are hoping a strategy, hoping for a market turnaround here? Because as this market goes down, hedge funds are liquidating. Remember, when you invest in a hedge fund, you invest for a period of time. You can't invest in a hedge fund and a week later go give me my money back. Big funds begin liquidating as panic grips the loan market. So what happens now, folks, is when people are out of a lockup period, if some hedge fund says, hey, we're going to use your money for a year and next December you can get it out, what are you going to do now? Well, at least I know I would. I'd add to it and buy at the bottom or somewhere near the bottom here. But what I'm getting at is there's going to be more selling before there's a bottom here. Might not, if that doesn't sound pleasant to you, that means you weren't hedged. At every one of these daily briefs or my live trade briefs, what do I tell you? Happy hunting, meaning go out there and do some good work and make sure you hedge. It's at times like this when you find out who the idiots are who weren't hedged. Right? You know who's swimming naked when the tide goes out. The tide's gone out, man, and it ain't coming back anytime soon. So the worst redemptions, hedge fund redemptions on record, add to global markets pain. When hedge funds have to start liquidating, it gets ugly. And when they have to just dump those shares, meaning not really at a price that they'd like, that's when the panic is going to really set in. Jeffrey Gunlock early in the week said the S&P 500 is heading to new lows. I'm pretty sure this is a bear market. He's a month and a half to 2 months behind me, like he was with the prediction of the election of Donald Trump, the market rally, and Facebook imploding. How about that shit show? We did a bear call spread on Tuesday on Facebook, and let's see, 3 days here. Where's Tuesday? We did a bear call spread right there on Facebook, and Facebook, since we put that trade on, is down 9%. I also recommended buying Facebook puts out to February because their Q1 earnings in January are going to be awful. So so folks, in a down market, you can be doing some pretty damn good work. We are, right? It took me a couple weeks to figure out that, you know what, this ain't gonna, nope. As soon as this rip your face off rally happened, markets don't recover like that. I said, we're done. We're going to come back to these lows and that rip your face off rally. I said, no. Now we're really done. And we are really done, folks. This ain't coming back anytime soon. The FANGs are dead. I predicted a year ago to get out. I was long Facebook, long Apple, long Amazon. A year ago, I said, get out of every FANG. Get out of them. I listed my reasons if you were here and some of my folks. And remember, the T in FANG is silent. TFANG. What's the T that I told you to dump? Twitter. Twitter is a piece of shit limousine liberal stock, down 11% today. I said Tuesday in the live trade brief, I think I did, or Monday, I said do a bearish double vertical on Twitter. Since that time, it's down about 18%. This thing is going, bearish double vertical on Twitter has been printing money, folks, and very, very happy with the performance there. Interesting that the mainstream liberal media ain't reporting this. Google's code of conduct, its main guiding precept was don't be evil. Can anybody tell me why Google dropped that out of its code of conduct? That should worry the hell out of you, man. So interesting stuff going on here, folks. Like I said, we have some Jan 21s and Jan 20s that we're bullish on, but guess what, folks? That's why they're called longs. Whenever I do a new Jan 21 position, the first words out of my mouth are, I'm doing it this far out. Why? So they have time to recover. Plus, you should only be doing spreads in the front month or selling upside calls against positions you're long on, like Raytheon. Raytheon ain't going away, folks. It's going to be around in 2 years. Right now, it's getting pounded. So what do? I sell at the money or even in the money call spreads or regular calls and bear call spreads. Right now would be a good idea to do a bearish double vertical on Raytheon. Raytheon's also getting pounded today because why? Yesterday, Donald Trump said war's over in Syria, we're coming home. I don't agree with that. And tomorrow at 1 o'clock and Analyze Your Trade, you're going to find out why. If you're sitting here getting your ass kicked by the market, I have little sympathy for you because I've told you every day how you can take a 7-day test flight in the Top Gun options for $38. I've been getting a lot of emails and text messages from folks saying, Wiz, thank God for SDS or VXX, or thank God for all these bearish spreads that you've looked at recently because it's really, really, really helped. If you're not making money in this market, you're doing it wrong. This is velocity, man. This is direction. Now that this thing is doing this, there ain't no bottom, folks. It's going to be a and look at this. It's going to be a long climb back up to where we were, 29.50, 29.40 on the S&P 500, folks. We might break 2,000 here before this is done. And if you want to learn how to potentially make money for $38 to give us a 7-day test flight, all you need to do is head to go.topgunoptions.com/goflight and just spend a week with us, man. We did a 1-day VXX trade, a bull put spread on VXX on Monday that we closed Tuesday for, what was it, $1,800? That trade that we did on Monday is at max profit of $2,400. Risking $5,000. If you're still in the VXX weekly trade, you made $2,400 in essentially 4 days. Absolutely awesome. So market imploding, we're making money. $2,400. Bearish on Twitter, bearish on and bearish on everything, folks. The only thing we're bullish on is VXX and SDS, right? Like I said, we're having fun. If you're not having fun, at least come check out what we're doing for $38, the price of a pretty bad bottle of Pinot Grigio, okay? Head to go.topgunoptions.com/goflight and come check out what we do. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting, and make sure you hedge, folks. It ain't too late to hedge. In an up market, you buy the dips. In a down market, you sell these rips. Every one of these rips I said to sell into, they're not to be believed. And this little thing right here, too. Is this the bottom? Nope. Told you to sell into that one, too. 9 out of 10 times I've told you to get long SDS calls, my members to get SDS calls, they have printed money and have more than made up for any losses in some Jan 21. So we're doing some good work here, and I couldn't be happier, okay? All right, have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 o'clock for Analyze Your Trade.